The Great Oklahoma Land Runs, also known as the Great Oklahoma Land Rush, between the years of 1889 and 1895. Is history hiding something in their story that they don't want us to know about? I believe they are. History states that in what is now the state of Oklahoma, there were 7 great land runs between the years of 1889 and 1895, where thousands of acres of land that was previously closed up from the public was now open to the first man or woman who claimed it. These lands were previously Indian lands from the 5 civilized tribes of Cherokee, the Chickasaw, the Seminole, and the Choctaw, and the Chickasaw tribes, who were forcibly removed in the 1830s by the U.S. government. History states that there was an overpopulation of millions of people in the East who were occupying thousands of square miles of land, and that thousands of these people were looking for new land to farm because of new farming techniques. As a side note, I cannot find no information on what those new farming techniques were. But nonetheless, that is what history teaches us. So the American government was opening up the closed and vacant Indian lands to the public, to the first person who claimed it. But to make it fair, they had a big land race, 7 in all. The first one was on April 22nd, 1889, where 50 to 60,000 settlers lined up for the big race to get their free parcel of raw land, which history says there were 42,000 parcels to claim. They, the settlers, showed up on horses, bicycles, wagons. Some were on foot to race to get their free parcel of land. Also, there was a train in the race where people paid to be on. History is unclear just how that worked out. Did the settlers just jump off the train while it was moving and run to a parcel of land? Or did the train make stops? History does not say. But history teaches that there were cheaters in the race, known as the Sooners, who snuck in the closed lands before the race, and that led to many land disputes. The settlers who showed up at the race fair and square were known as the Boomers, and the cheaters were known as the Sooners. It would seem the Sooners would have been easy to spot on the open land by the government officials before the race. The largest land race was in 1893, where history says that over 100,000 settlers raced for the free raw land. The last Oklahoma land race was in 1895. A lot about this story I question. The first is, why were there so many people racing for free raw land when history states that most of the land in the West was free for the taking? Another thing is questionable is, why was there such an overpopulation in the East at that time in the United States? After the Great War of 1812 that killed thousands of Americans, followed by the Year Without a Summer in 1816 that reportedly killed tens of thousands of Americans due to starvation, and then the American Civil War of 1861 through 1865 that reportedly killed and crippled over 1.5 million Americans. The other questionable thing is the American Indians are portrayed in movies and TV shows as primitive and are called tribes, but officially they're known as the Indian Nations. The other questionable thing is how fast the land rushers, the Boomers, and the Sooners were able to build big cities and grand buildings in Oklahoma, like the old Oklahoma Courthouse and the Tulsa, Oklahoma Morningside Hospital and the old Tulsa Methodist Church, just to name a few. I think there is a big clue in words. The secretive fraternal organization known as the Freemasons, in their name, Freemasonry, which translates into the word free buildings. The government bureau that is in charge of dams and irrigation canals is called the Bureau of Reclamation. The word reclamation translates into the word reclaiming. The first people who moved into a city are known as the founders. The word found is in the word founders. When we look back in history, we see something very odd. We see orphan trains that ran through America in the years of 1854 to 1929, a total of 75 years, dropping off thousands of orphans to anybody that would take them all over the United States, in towns and cities. Also at this time, the Catholic Church was running the mercy trains, dropping off children in towns and cities, except those children could be custom ordered. Also, a group of Catholic nuns in 1869 established a foundling hospital in New York to care for homeless infants. Why back then were some parentless children known as foundlings and not orphans? I have not read of an explanation for that. But I think we find a big clue in the Bible. In Revelation 20:5 it states, "The rest of the dead did not come back to life until the 1,000 years have ended." I believe the land rushers were not racing for undeveloped raw land, but the buildings that were remaining in the cities that were empty and void of people from the War of 1812 and the 1816 year without a summer. That they were a reset people, from a reset that they don't want us to know about. And our real history is a lot different from the history we have been taught. Anyway, thanks for watching my video and have a good day.